Hey, what's up you guys? It's Dorothy. Excuse me, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, thank you for stopping by. Don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up. Comment down below what you want to see in the future. Click that subscribe button and don't forget to turn on my post notifications. That way you get notified every single time I upload a video. I am in a new space, so I will explain that in another video. But in today's video, we are going to go into chapter 10 of As Good as Dead by Holly Jackson. So let's get right into this video. This video may contain sensitive topics and foul language. If you do not wish to continue, please click off of the video now. You have been warned. Chapter 10. Pip hated this place. As she stepped toward the entrance, catching sight of the blueprinted waiting room beyond, she could feel her skin recoiling from it, unwrapping from her flesh, begging her to turn back, retreat, the voice in her head, too. This was a bad place. A bad place. She shouldn't be here, but she promised Ravi, and her promises still meant something to her, especially with him. And so she was here, Fairview Police Station, to sign the sign glaring down at her, covered in the thin layer of white, wind-swept grime. The automatic doors jumped open and swallowed her whole. She passed the regimented lines of cold metal chairs facing the reception desk. A man and a woman sat against the back wall, swaying slightly as though the police station were at sea. Drunk, clearly, at 11 a.m., though Pip had to take a Xanax to work up the nerve to even come here, she was also So who was she to judge them? Pip approached the desk, hearing the drunk man whisper an almost affectionate "fuck you," immediately parroted by the slurred voice of the woman, to each other, not to Pip, though it might as well have been. Everything inside this building was hostile. A bad memory, a "fuck you" from the garish, flickering bulbs and the scream of the polished floor beneath her shoes. It had squealed just the same way when she was here months ago, asking Hawkins to look for Jamie Reynolds, so she didn't have to. Begging him. How different things would be now, only if he had said yes. Just as she reached the desk, Eliza, the detention officer, strolled out of the attached office with a sharp right. Right, you two. She looked up and jumped at the sight of Pip. Pip didn't blame her. She must look terrible. Eliza's face softened, a pitying smile as she fiddled with her gray hair. Pip, sweetie, didn't see you there. Sorry, Pip said quietly. But Eliza had seen her, and now Pip saw her too. Not here and now, in the reception area with the drunk couple behind, but on that right, back inside the belly of the police station, that very same pitying expression on Liza's face as she helped Pip peel off her blood-drenched clothes, gloved hands packing them away into her clear evidence bags. Pip's top, her bra, the pinkish smears of dead Stanley all over her skin as she stood there, bare and shivering in front of this woman, a moment that bound them forever, hanging like a ghost in the corners of Eliza's smile. Pip, Eliza's eyes had narrowed. I said, what can I do for you today? Oh, Pip cleared her throat. I'm here to see him again. Is he here? Eliza exhaled, or had it been a sigh? Yes, he is, she said. I'll go tell him you're here. Please take a seat. She gestured at the front row of metal chairs before disappearing to the back office. Pip wouldn't take a seat. That wouldn't be surrender. This was a bad place, and she couldn't let it have her. The sound came sooner than she was expecting, the harsh, grating buzz as the door to the back half of the station opened and Detective Hawkins stepped through, in jeans and a light shirt. Pip, he called through, though he didn't need to. She was already following him through the door and into the worst part of the station. The door closed and locked behind her. Hawkins glanced back with a jerk of his head that might have been a nod. Down this very same corridor, past interview room 1, the same journey she had walked back then in new bloodless clothes. She never found out whose they were. She followed Hawkins then into a small room right off to the right with a man who never said his name, or Pip had never heard it, but she remembered Hawkins' grip on her wrist to help her as she pressed each finger into the ink pad and then onto the correct square on the paper grid, the patterns of her fingertips like never-ending mazes made only to trap you. It's just to rule you out, to eliminate you. That's what Hawkins had said back then, and all Pip remembering saying back was, I'm fine. No one could have thought she was fine. Pip, Hawkins' voice brought her back to now, back into this even heavier body. He had stopped walking, was holding the door open to interview room 3. Thank you, she said flatly, ducking under the archway of his outstretched arm into the room. She wouldn't sit in here either, just in case, but she slipped the straps of her backpack from her shoulders and placed it down on the table. Hawkins crossed his arms and leaned against the wall. You know, I will call you when it happens, right? He said. What? Pip narrowed her eyes. Charlie Green, Hawkins said. We have no more information on his whereabouts, but when we do catch him, I will call you. You don't have to come here to ask. That's not why I'm here. Oh? He said, the sound from his throat rising, turning into a question. It's something else, really, that I thought I should tell you, report to you. Pip shifted awkwardly, pulled her sleeves down to cover her naked wrists, leaving nothing bare or exposed, not in this place. Report something. What is it? What happened? Hawkins' face rearranged, all sharp lines from his raised eyebrow to his tightened lips. It's possible I have a stalker, Pip said, the final syllable clicking in her throat. She was only imagining it, but it felt like she could hear the click bounding around the room, ricocheting off the plain walls and the dull metal table. A stalker, Hawkins said, and the click had gotten into his throat too somehow. His face shifted again, new lines and a new curve to his mouth. A stalker, Pip repeated, reclaiming the click as her own. I think. Okay, Hawkins sounded unsure too, scratching his graying hair to buy him some time. Well, in order for us to look into this, there needs to have been a pattern of 2 or more behaviors, Pip interrupted him. Yes, I know. I've done my research, and there have been. More than that, in fact, both online and in real life. Hawkins coughed into his hand. He pushed off the wall and crossed the room, his shoes sliding across the floor, hissing like they had a secret message just for Pip. He perched against the metal table and crossed his legs. Okay, what were the incidents? He asked. Here, Pip said, reaching for her bag. Hawkins watched her as she opened it and dug inside. She shifted her Buckley headphones out of the way and pulled out the folded sheets of paper. I made a spreadsheet of all the potential incidents and a graph, and there's a photo, she added, opening the pages and handing them to Hawkins. Now was her turn to watch him, studying his downturned eyes as they flicked across the spreadsheet, up and down and up again. There's quite a lot here, he said, more to himself than to her. Yeah. Who will look for you when you're the one who disappears? Hawkins read out the burning question, and the hairs rose up on the back of Pip's neck, hearing it out loud in his voice. So it started online, did it? Yes, she said, pointing to the top half of the page. It started with just that question online, and quite infrequently. And then, as you can see, the incidents have become more regular. And then things started happening offline, and if they are connected, then it is escalating. First the flowers on my car, and it has progressed to the dead pigeons, Hawkins finished for her, running his finger across the graph. Yes, 2 of them, Pip said. What's this 70 scale here? He glanced up from the column. It's a rating of how severe each possible incident is, she said plainly. Yes, I understand that. Where did you get it from? I made it up, Pip said, her feet heavy through the bottoms of her shoes sinking into the floor. I did my research, and there isn't a lot of official information about stalking, probably as it's seen as a policing priority despite it often being a gateway to more violent crimes. I wanted a method of cataloging the potential incidents to see if there's a progression of threat and implied violence, so I made one up. I can explain to you how I did it. There's a 3-point difference between online and offline behavior and... Hawkins waved his hand to cut her off, the pages fluttering in his grip. But how do you know these are all connected, he asked. The person online asking you that question and these other incidents? Well, of course I don't know for sure, but the thing that made me consider it was the kill 2 birds with 1 stone message the day the second pigeon was left on my drive. Without a head, she added. Hawkins' throat made a sound in a new different click. Well, it's a very common expression, he said. But the 2 dead pigeons, Pip said, straightening up. She knew she had already knew where it was going, where it was always destined to go. The look in Hawkins' eyes against the look in hers. He wasn't sure, and she wasn't either, but Pip could feel something shifting inside her, changing, heat sliding around under her skin, starting by her neck, claiming her one verbatim at a time. Hawkins sighed, attempted to smile. You know, I have a cat, and sometimes I can come home to 2 dead things in one day, often without heads. 1 left in my bed just last week. Pip felt defensive, tightening a fist behind her back. We don't have a cat, she hardened her voice, sharpened it at the edges, readying to cut him with it. No, but one of your neighbors probably does. I can't really open an investigation because of 2 dead pigeons. Was he wrong? That's exactly what she told herself too. What about the chalk figures? Twice now, getting closer to the house. Hawkins flicked through the pages. Do you have a photograph of them? He looked up at her. No. No? They disappeared before I could. Disappeared? He narrowed his eyes. And the worst thing was she knew exactly how this all sounded, how unhinged she must seem. But that's what she had wanted to that's how she wanted to, preferred to think of herself as broken, seeing danger where there wasn't. And yet a fire was starting in her head, lighting up behind her eyes. Washed away before I had a chance, she said, but I do have a photo of something that might be a direct threat, Pip controlled her voice. Written on the sidewalk on my running route, dead girl walking. Well, yes, I understand your concern. Hawkins shuffled the pages, but that message wasn't left at your house. It was on a public street. You can't know that you were the intended target. I'm going to leave it off right there. We're going to go and do a part 2 for this video, so I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!